the beauty of coaching is that the conversations you're having with people are conversations that people normally don't get to have with their everyday
Yeah.
acquaintances of friends of circles. So just having the conversation gives them more awareness of who they are and what they want. So this is the first part.
Okay, and now we're live. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great too, and like I mentioned before, still a little bit sick, but we will definitely manage. And I'm really, really excited to be interviewing you, Carmen, today. How are you feeling about that?
I'm good. I'm not sick. I must be the only one not sick around me, but it's good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're very glad to have you here today and that you took time out of your schedule to show up for us. It means a lot for all of us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
happy to be here.
Okay. And I know that people who are watching are probably interested in like who is Carmen? So please share if you feel like it.
Oh, well, that question is the question because I think we are so many things and we have so many sides of us. Some of them hidden in the shadows, some of them very open,
Yeah.
and happy for everyone to see. But for the purpose of the of the interview, I'm a purpose and empowerment coach. So basically, what I do, I work with women that are currently in a situation where they don't know anymore where they are. They feel a little bit lost, a little bit stuck, and they really want to find their purpose in life, something more than their 9 to 5, the everyday routine, the autopilot. They want to, bring more meaning and fulfillment to their life. So for them to discover how they can do that and then do it, because
Yeah.
just knowing is not enough. Then you need
Yeah.
to get to do it. And yeah, that's what I do. I think coaching is really an amazing way to help people to see things with the different eyes, different point of view, um,
Definitely.
to feel motivated, to feel encouraged, um, to have the accountability.
Yeah.
I like to push my clients. I'm a little bit of a, motivator with less challenging type of coach. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what people go for when they when they come in my circle. They like to be challenged. And but I find that sometimes we just need someone to push us a little bit to get going. So
Yeah.
I think coach.
Oh, did you hear that too?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, we're still recording. Something happened, but yeah, we're still recording. So sorry for interrupting.
No, that's good. I just fit. Actually, I was just done with the phrase.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And I totally agree with you. Like, I think it's great for coaches to be able to challenge because it is when we get challenged that we, have to step out of our comfort zones and really grow. So yeah, it's a great thing that you're like someone who challenges because if we go too easy, then there's less chances to growth. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I like to say I meet my clients where they are. Some
Yeah.
people need a little bit more time to marinate and get used
Mm-hmm.
to, being that type of person that steps out of the comfort zone. Because unfortunately, and especially for women, we hide in the comfort for too long. We're too
Yeah.
scared to step out because we've been told so many times just to follow the norm, to be quiet, to
Yeah.
just do what everybody else do, to stay safe. And we can grow very scared of the unknown,
Yeah.
more than, maybe men that are more pushed to achieve and, to do
Yeah.
things.
For sure.
So it takes a little bit of time to change the programming
Yeah.
and to be able to step into the unknown with, it's always going to be discomfort, but not so
Yeah.
much discomfort that you
Yeah.
freeze, you know.
Yeah, and what you're touching on right now, it's kind of in our subject too, you know, like Fearless Women is kind of around that subject as well. So I'm really curious to hear like what does fearless mean to you?
Well, fearless for me is being authentic.
Yeah.
Is the biggest fear is not to be accepted or not to be loved or not to belong. That's kind of what we're fearing, all of the variations of
Yeah.
fear of success, fear of failure, all the type of fears. But it all comes to that feeling of oh, I'm not good enough, or and that's the disconnection from who we are, that we're constantly comparing, or as I said before, sell ourselves short. So for me, the
Yeah.
fearless is just to be able to be brave, to be who you are, and feel the fear, but do it
Yeah.
anyway. No, is that what they say? So it's never a point where it's not going to be any fear. That's just
Yeah.
not part of how we are as humans. We always fear. Fear is helpful because there are certain things that need to be fear, and
Yeah.
we need to prepare for them. But sometimes the fear is imaginary. There is no
Yeah.
real facts, there's no real evidence that you're gonna die if you do that.
Yeah.
But we stop ourselves from doing the things that we really wish to do, we dream of, that we want to do. So
Yeah.
for me, being
Sure.
fearless is just of those things that we really feel passionate about or that make us happy, to step out of that fear mode and to move towards those things we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And we're going to move with fear at first, but then is a muscle. Confidence is a muscle that gets built, and the
Yeah.
more we stretch, the more we build,
Yeah.
and then we live fearless, with fear but doing it.
Yeah. And that's the amazing part of it. Just like keep on, you know, taking one step at a time, trying out the waters and just like seeing where it leads you. But do you seem like you have some experience with that? Would you say that you have a specific moment in mind where you felt like you really needed to be fearless to get through a situation or something?
I think all my life I was super fearful. That was my upbringing.
Yeah.
My mom was very protective, overly protective. She wouldn't let me do anything because she was always
Yeah.
fearful I would fall, or I would, you know, something terrible will happen to me, or I will catch a
Yeah.
cold if I'm going without a jumper. Everything was like dangerous and something
Yeah.
to fear outside. So I was very shy and very worried about everything when I was growing up. So I think um, every little thing I did that other people would do without problem, for me was a bit of a bravery,
Yeah.
because I was always in this very ingrained fearful mode. But I think when I moved to, I was living in Spain until I finished my university. And then when I moved from Spain to London, that took a lot of courage for me, because it was really leaving everything behind and
Yeah.
coming to a new unknown territory. But in this case, as I mentioned before, the excitement of what could be there was what kept me going, because I knew staying where I was, I didn't want to be there. So it wasn't so much about going to for a particular reason, but it was more about me trying to figure out what I wanted to do, find my purpose, find who I was, because I didn't know who I was. I was just on that mode of complying with everything, being the good girl,
Yeah.
that I wasn't sure who was me or who was the programming, this setup. I couldn't figure, I was not clear. So, yeah, that took a lot of bravery, and I did. And as we said before, once you stretch, then there's the next thing. I think another thing that was very brave for me was going
Yeah.
traveling by myself. That was, again, I didn't know anybody that did that. Now I know too many people, but back then I didn't. In
Yeah.
my small world, nobody traveled by themselves. And I thought, okay, where is the farthest place I can go? And I went to Australia.
Yeah.
That is, I never even knew anybody that went to Australia. It's that kind of thing that for some people is very normal, but for me it wasn't. I knew people that were on holidays for 2 weeks and were, in all-inclusive hotel, or maybe they did a little bit of traveling, but always in that setting of holiday mode. But I took, I took a plane. Only had like a couple of nights hotel booked, and the rest was an adventure. And yeah, when I was by myself, and it was fun. And once you do that, then you discover that traveling alone is kind of the best thing ever. And I did
Yeah.
it many times after. But again, for me, that was difficult.
Yeah.
And it was a part of me that was very conscious that I was very fearful. So I was always in the mood, okay, if I'm 50-50 yes or no, I choose yes. If I'm 60 no, 40 yes, I'm gonna still choose yes. So it was more like I was training myself to make decisions based on excitement and what I wanted to
Yeah.
get, more than on the fear that, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That is, yeah, that is such a good kind of tool to build up for yourself, to have that as a, as a landing point to always come back to when you're, in the like yes or no situation where you have to decide, like in a dilemma.
yeah, my
And
default was to say no to everything.
yeah,
That was my default because my mom was always like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't
yeah,
do that. That was my upbringing. So on purpose, I was trying to get out of it
yeah,
and be a different person. So that was my trick to, when I doubt, I just say yes.
yeah. Did you come up with it yourself, or was it someone who
Uh,
told you?
I don't remember where I got it from or if I got it from anything. I just knew I needed to challenge myself that way because I knew the fear
Yeah,
was not real, and I was missing out in so many things because this fear,
yeah,
So yeah, it was that kind of, nobody was gonna, I didn't have anybody to motivate me, any role models or any of that. I have to come up with something to get out of there. So
wow.
yeah.
That is so empowering to know that you got yourself out of it, even though it was a situation where you didn't really put yourself into it, but you got yourself out of it. That's very empowering
Yes,
to do
because
yourself.
it was that thing that, that is making you miserable.
Yeah,
That you can be yourself. You can do anything if you stay in that mode. So from childhood to adulthood, those teenage years, I was in that conflict of, should I just be the good girl and do what my mom tell me, or should I be doing what I want? But being a rebel
yeah,
was very conflictive because we have this programming. We want to be loved by our parents, understood, etc. So getting out of it was making me feeling very guilty about it, or I was conflicted. But at the end, I realized I have to take care of myself. And for me, what I've been told, even with the best intentions, was actually stopping me. It was one of the limiting beliefs, or one of these old programs that were really stopping me from getting anything that I wanted, or even
yeah,
knowing exactly what I wanted, because
yeah,
I couldn't be myself. So I needed to get out. So
yeah.
it was a little bit of following the intuition, was that voice that tells you, no, there is more out there than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was it was a voice from inside more than the external. But of course, you do want to be like these people that you are not, you admire certain attitudes or certain characteristics of people.
yeah,
But I didn't have any near role model. It was more like okay, on the movie, so outside out there, but no
yeah,
in my circle.
yeah. I'm very curious now. Like, how did this and like your life lead you into the coaching field?
Well, that was many years after that was kind of my
Yeah.
beginning of living in Spain and moving to London. It was kind of the beginning of learning who I was and searching for things. So it was a
Yeah.
process, but after a while of being in London, I was settled. What I was doing, everything was okay. I don't have like a terrible story. I was not burned out. I was not
Yeah.
depressed. Everything was perfectly okay, too
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Very much plateau, very much in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I was doing well in many areas. So the question was, okay, wait a minute. If everything is fine, what is that? It feels like something is missing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes something is always wrong, so we're chasing to fix what is wrong, and we live on that mode of okay, putting fires off or fixing what is wrong, resolving the problems. But then when they all resolve and when everything is fine, so what do you do then? And then you
Yeah.
have to stop and think really, okay, oh, it wasn't that problem or it wasn't that. So what was it really that doesn't make you feel super happy, or you have it all, why you still thinking something is missing, thinking it might be more out there. And that's
Yeah.
where I was. So I knew, even I love my job, I knew it was things I have left behind to pursue this career and to achieve what I achieved, and I thought that was the way to go. But then when I got there, it wasn't. I felt
Yeah.
like, okay, I need something more, something deeper. I need more growth, um, more fulfillment. Really, I was fairly happy, but I felt like what I was doing didn't have that purpose or that meaning that I was searching for. And COVID happened, and we had to stop and think. I couldn't go in on holidays to forget about it, or
Yeah.
parties to, I couldn't
Yeah.
entertain myself to forget about this feeling of emptiness.
Yeah.
And COVID arrived, and for me, I know it was a terrible thing, but for me, it had a lot of good things. It was like a moment to pause and reflect, and that's what I did. I have a lot of time to reflect, and I wanted to move on from my career to another place because I haven't reached as much as I could. So I thought my
Yeah.
growth would be into maybe just getting another job or changing something, but I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what. But everything I would think of, okay, would maybe give me financial freedom or these things, but none of it was like, would I be more fulfilled if I do that, or would just be a change just for the sake of changing? So nothing was landing, nothing was ticking that voice inside, and I'm always being into the self-growth space, trying to, for my own sake, trying
Yeah.
to learn more, to know more about myself. And I'll be the person that is always talking about it and having these conversations. And I start to think, okay, if this is what I do all my time off, which was
Yeah.
all of it in COVID, and it was something that I don't know where I heard it from. Don't know if it was from Jay Shetty or from another another similar character. It's like where you spend your money is what you like, is what you
Yeah.
really, what is meaningful to you. And I was thinking, okay, in COVID, I can't spend money anywhere. Okay, besides the obvious rent and food and that. But and I was like, okay, actually, what I'm spending all my money is either books, programs, and this type of learning about myself, psychology,
Yeah.
neuroscience. This is what I was involved. And it suddenly clicked. It's like, why wouldn't I do this all the time? I'm doing it for me, but I'm actually, all the conversations I have with other people are about these subjects.
Yeah.
It's actually what occupies my mind, what I want to learn more, what I get excited. And that's what I'm doing with all this time off. So I started to follow Jay Shetty YouTube, Facebook channel where they do a lot of live webinars and things like that. And I was doing it for fun. And then I just thought, why don't I join the school and do it for a living? And
Yeah.
and so it was kind of, I was in the middle of many programs and many things. And And actually, I just done the UPW with Tony Robbins. And one thing that when you set an intention for something you're gonna do,
Yeah.
this is what I decided when I go through the 4 days UPW seminar. I will make a decision on this. And as soon as I finished, I was like, yeah, this makes so much sense. So I did join the school. And then it was like landing in a place where you feel like, this is it,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
and it really
love that.
resonates. And it felt so clear that all the pieces of the puzzle make sense. Then I realized, I look back at everything I've been doing in my job that I thought was zero related to coaching. And I was coaching all the time. I was
Yeah.
doing, but I didn't call it coaching, or I didn't know it was coaching. But my favorite part of the job was resolving the conflicts with the people, talking with the people, listening to people's
Yeah.
problems. Yeah, it felt very natural. So
Yeah. It
it was,
sounds like it's like it
yeah,
just felt like came kind of natural to you. It just flowed into your life because it was just there all the time, but
yeah.
we just
I
didn't
couldn't
put a
see it.
name on it
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
No, because we're so involved in our small world doing the same things all the time that if
Yeah.
it's anything that we're not familiar, we don't explore really. We don't go there. We just repeat the same things over and over, and we hardly
Yeah.
ever, as adults, go and explore new things. And sometimes when we don't know what we want, it's because we haven't explored other other options. But
Yeah.
when you touch upon something that suddenly is like, oh, let me know more about this.
Yeah.
Is that curiosity is probably because something is calling for it.
Definitely. Can I ask you why you chose your specific niche?
Woman empowerment is my thing ever.
Yeah.
Maybe as a product of my more traditional upbringing and trying to get out of the typical female roles and the good girl and all of
Yeah.
that. Because I see around me is it's like I did see is women selling themselves short all the time, being their worst saboteurs in their journeys. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it really annoys me. So so I've been always the cheerleader for the women around me, but do it now in a more systematic way and more in a action driven
Yeah.
system. Yeah, is really exciting. And purpose, because I think if you don't know your direction in life, you just go around feeling lost. And the direction is what gives you the motivation to then find your power and your confidence to pursue. So if you don't know what you want, it's very difficult to go and do it because you're just in the lost mode. We're stuck on, going around in circles. You need to know first what's the direction you want to take, and then is when you can start walking towards it.
Yeah. Definitely. And what do you think is like a common obstacle that women encounter when it comes to like empowerment or purpose?
I think Petrarchus. I think I don't try to be too controversial with this subject, but for me, it's like we're not anywhere near it's too young, too early. The female empowerment is just early stages. We're not there yet. The same with any minorities. Is we have moved far, but we still um, we got the generational trauma. We got so much still there that is it's gonna take a few generations
Yeah.
to reach a level where we even feel like we have the same opportunities, because maybe with the law you have them, but the subconscious programming is working against it, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to get out of that, and sometimes it takes few generations to break the trauma. So I think this is a big part, the hidden traumas, the subconscious programming that for women has been there in a different way than for men. Men got other problems. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
that, but it's like if you read the statistics, I think it was like 70 something percent of people that apply for a raise or apply for a promotion are men. Or that get a promotion are men. And it's mainly they get it because they feel confident to go for it. And women don't allow themselves a lot of times to even try it. They don't feel like they are, oh, well, it's not good to be that pushy. If I'm just this career-driven woman, maybe my family is going to suffer for it. Maybe I'm not such a good wife or such a good mother or such a, we got all of these preconceptions. It's difficult. It's harder for women. And for me, I would even go farther than even as a teenager, when before family come into place, but just when you're trying to figure out what your dreams are, what do you want for yourself, if we're not used to speak out our mind, if our feelings have been shut down since we are very, very little, we are so not in touch with our intuition, we can't hear it. We hear louder the voices outside us that tell us how we should behave to be successful in life than we don't hear ourselves. And this goes, what I see a lot now is, oh, all the women need to be career women and be the boss girl. And for some people, that's not what they really want, but they feel like, oh, if I dare to say I want to be a stay-home mom, I'm gonna, people is gonna judge me on it. So now I'm gonna be, I don't even know what I want anymore because I'm pursuing this career that I don't really like. But yeah, I got a promotion and now people see me in a certain way. But all I want to do is stay home with my kids. But this is just not, so it could be either way. But in a way, is we're listening to what we're supposed to do more than what our own voice tell us, because as we spoke before, there's a lot of bravery on doing what you want if it's not aligning with what everybody else around you think you should be doing.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
to listen to that voice is difficult, even because there's subconscious patterns.
And I've noticed that it's common for women to feel like they have to excuse themselves all the time, like excuse themselves for being or for saying or for thinking. And also, like, a lot of women are afraid of taking up space and asking for a raise, taking up space, like, even if it's in the home or the workplace or like wherever. It's just this like fear of taking up space because it's not in our, like, it's the generational trauma that women should be more silent and they shouldn't take up as much space as the men should, and they shouldn't ask for as much as men should. And it's definitely a problem. And I think it's so good that we are working on it, that we're aware of it, and that we're, reclaiming that power and just deciding that this is when I'm gonna shift, this is when I'm gonna break this trauma and, take control over my own life. So important.
Yeah, 100%. I always talk about living life in your own terms, but you need to know what those terms are.
Exactly.
It's not just about, oh, just because everybody's doing this, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because, for you, maybe your own terms are just, it goes well with whatever everybody else is doing. But I'm gonna have to say that for most people that will listen to us or that will come to us to work with us, is because they are not happy where they are. Otherwise, they live in their life. They're not looking into self-growth. They're happy just doing their thing,
For
If they're
sure.
looking into improving their life, it's because something is not, they're not quite there yet. If you are following your purpose, you're living a fulfilled life, everything is perfect. Yeah, you might have an interest, but it wouldn't be a preoccupation. It wouldn't be a worry.
No, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't expect someone who was, like, felt really comfortable with their health, felt really healthy, sleeping well, eating well, exercising, good mental health, good physical health, all of that, to come to me and like want to be coached. Like, it's usually the people who feels like this is enough. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want my life quality to be like this. I want change. The people who are seeking change, they are the ones who finds us. Definitely. Yeah. I have to ask you, so we talked about how like people, you know, end up in the situation, or how they can, like, how it's common to feel this way. But do you have any tips or anything on how to overcome it when you're feeling this lack of purpose, or just
Yeah, well, definitely. That's what I try to do with my clients. I think the beauty of coaching is that the conversations you're having with people are conversations that people normally don't get to have with their everyday
yeah.
acquaintances of friends of circles. So just having the conversation gives them more awareness of who they are and what they want. So
Mm.
this is the first part, is be aware. Be aware that your brain is playing tricks on you. That's I'm all into neuroscience and how the brain works, because um, it meets spirituality very nicely, and it meets a lot of the woohoo stuff very nicely, but I like to have the scientific evidence for it, and nowadays
Yes.
we have a lot, which is great to
Yeah.
work on. So what I always say is that the brain plays tricks on you. It wants you to believe certain things, because the main
Yeah.
purpose of the brain is to keep you safe. That's the old brain. That's how we were designed. And the
Yeah.
youngest brain is the only one, and is the latest that was developed in in humans, what has an understanding of how to relate to the external and to the things that are happening. But the old brain is basically programmed to just survive.
Yeah.
So if we're not aware of it, we think we live in a reality, but we're not. We live in a perception of a reality, a perception that is interpreted with a filter of our
Yeah.
experience, our traumas, our education, our values, uh, the beliefs of our society, etc. So when we um, filter the external reality through that, it becomes just a
Yeah.
perception, and two people in the same exact situation could perceive things very differently. So I think understanding that you need to question your own perceptions, you need to question your own reality. That's the first step, to have that awareness that, okay, maybe what you think it is not. What if it wasn't? Would your life would improve if it wasn't? Would things would get better if it wasn't? You start to view things like that, then you start to open yourself for different answers than the answers you have been
Yeah.
receiving until now. So I think first thing is to have awareness of this, and to start to observe yourself
Yeah.
and reflect on, is it real? Is it a perception? How
Hmm.
much? And second is, okay, how is this serving me to have these beliefs, to live this? How is this been serving me until now? Probably help me to survive, to be safe. As I say, the brain wants you to be safe. But for the same reason that the brain wants you to be safe, it perceives any change as a danger. So you go like in this click, you click the fear, the
Yeah.
danger mode, which is the freeze, fight, or fly mode. So you probably freeze and never go into the unknown, because you
Hmm.
perceive it as something dangerous. But
Yeah.
again, is it real? Or this dangerous, this unknown, could it be an amazing unknown? Could it be the happiness that you're looking for? Would it be the person you want to become? What if it was? Why is this fear stopping you from achieving? So
Yeah.
you start to first changing the way you perceive the world, changing the way you perceive your beliefs to be real or not, and training yourself, use the brain to your favor instead of against you,
Yeah.
by rewiring to apply certain techniques the same way the brain works against you, to make you believe certain things and to make you feel the fear of something that might not be fearful in
Yeah.
reality. You can use it to reprogram your brain. And we know now that the brain can be reprogrammed, that we can think differently, that we can change
Yeah.
who we are. So using techniques that get you to change that, to reprogram yourself, That is what, once you get the awareness, it's like, okay, now that I know, let's see how I can get myself into believing something, or, to empower myself or to grow, using, the brain in my favor, and with certain techniques that will allow you to change. And changing your identity is what is going to change everything you do, how you
Yeah.
approach the world. And from there, you're going to, be a different person, which hopefully, um, will get you to find your purpose, work to achieve it, be resilient when things go wrong, keep going,
Yeah.
and feel like you got a reason to live. And, it's not always about to be happy, but when you have a reason, even the future happiness is enough now to keep you going.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's so important. Like everything starts with you, like with me, with you. You know, when you want change, so important to start from within. And like you said, with awareness,
Yeah.
start with the smallest, just being aware of your patterns and how you're behaving and why you're making the decisions you're making and all of that. And then the rest will kind of just like unfold naturally. Of course, with help from people, from coaches, but just like starting with you, go into yourself and just kind of like think, become aware of how you're acting or behaving or, fears and all of that because it feels like it's very easy nowadays to just live as we always did, like, or as we always done, never question, like, okay, why am I behaving this way? Or why am I reacting this way? What made me react this way the first time? And why am I continuing to do this? Like, just, going into yourself and start questioning stuff
Mm.
because that's what I feel has been a big problem, like for me growing up as well. Like I had all of these things that I just knew I was always doing. But when I started asking myself, okay, like, but why am I doing them? It's
Mm.
just hurting myself. So why do I keep, seeking the same thing that's gonna hurt me, or keep doing the same thing that's gonna hurt someone else? That when I know this, but we just didn't go inside. We just didn't think of it. We just kept living our lives like robots in some kind of way
Mm.
without questioning what's going on. So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, this is the thing. When you get into a journey of self-exploring, you
Yeah.
understand that, we've been repeating the same patterns. And they say, since you are like around 23, and so, 95% of what you do, what you feel, how you behave, is a repetition. It's not
Yeah.
even new. And we just repeat it over and over. And we wonder why things don't change, because nothing changes.
Yeah.
And the reason we repeat it is that we are not aware that we're repeating it. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, we're going to do it. The first thing is to be aware. But second is because the subconscious is running the show. We think we're
Yeah.
free and we do everything, we make all the decisions, but we don't. The subconscious makes most of the decisions. That autopilot makes most of the decisions. You have to really stop and get out of the autopilot to make that decision. If you're
Yeah.
not aware of it, the autopilot makes the decisions. If you're just going to repeat the patterns, of something that maybe happened when you were 5 years old, you don't remember it, but it's running the show. A lot of people is, like they got fear of public speaking, and they wonder, okay, why do I have fear of public speaking? Well, I don't know. I just not going on, on any meeting to speak in public or on the stage or even in
Yeah.
social media. And maybe it was something that happened when they were very young. I was talking to a client, not so long ago, and she was very fearful of, putting herself out there. She thought she's not a good communicator. And I was surprised because that was not how she was showing up for me.
Yeah.
Because we were working together for a while, I knew one of the qualities that people always bring up when they talk about her was that she was very good with people, very good communicating. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, why everybody can say that you're a good communicator, but you cannot see it, and
Yeah.
you always think it's a flaw of yours that you can't do this because you can communicate. And when we explore and we, because I normally do techniques where we go into the subconscious mind and we explore like what happened, what anyway, not to go too
Yeah.
deep.
No, sure.
But a lot of times it's deep hidden in the subconscious. And it was an
Yeah.
event when she was a child that made her believe that way.
Yeah.
Associate that event with, her conclusion in her child mind was like, oh, because this happened, I'm not good communicating.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be judged. I'm going to
Yeah.
be, feel like I'm not good enough. So to protect herself, this belief of I'm not a good communicator was built hundreds of years ago, well, maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And now she has that belief, which
Yeah.
has no evidence of it because every other person that know her thinks the opposite because that's the
Yeah.
experiences had. But that was ingrained in her subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Once she is able to spot that, she's able to now, as an adult, understand that that incident shouldn't have been interpreted that way. At
Yeah.
least she wouldn't interpret it that way now.
Yeah.
From that child mind, which is still not yet developed, that child brain is not yet developed, the emotion was so strong that she would create a mechanism to protect herself from feeling that way again.
Yeah.
And that was the belief where it was born, the belief that, no, I'm not a good communicator.
Yeah.
But now that she knows this is just a belief that it really makes no much sense. And the new belief she wants to have is like, yeah, I can communicate. I'm a good communicator.
Yeah.
This has changed her life around. And actually, she's putting herself out there in many ways
Yeah.
where she's actually communicating very well. Maybe now she's not doing it face to face because she's not there yet. She's doing it in writing. She's doing other type of communications. Because
Yeah.
again, you can't go from 0 to 100. You need to, step by step, start with something small and build up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she doesn't know yet. I'm sure she's gonna be speaking in camera in no time.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
tell the
such,
progression, but
yeah.
yeah, she needs to work on
That's
it a little bit.
that's an amazing client story. Just like a client success story of just, noticing that maybe she internalized something that happened when she was a kid, and that just followed her for like 30 years of her life because she didn't become aware of it. She didn't know it. She didn't do it on purpose, but it just followed her. It was in her brain. It was just like a program. And now you just reprogram that into something new and something beautiful. It's
Yeah,
so
that was
great.
stopping her from knowing her purpose because she
Yeah.
had now she knows what she wants to do, but because she
Yeah.
was so fearful to put herself out there in that way, she would eliminate any possibility that
Yeah.
would make her do that. So
Yeah.
as we say, we don't explore certain things. It would be many things she wouldn't explore if they would have to. She would have to be a good communicator for that.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
funnily enough, she was already doing it without knowing she was doing it, but
Yeah.
not in a way that it was in a way that she wouldn't think, oh, that is good communication.
Yeah. I just noticed that our time, gosh, I could talk to you forever. It just the time runs so fast. But I'm still gonna finish with some last questions for you, which I'm a little bit interested about since our subject here in Fearless Women is about being fearless and women. I'm very curious to know if you have any like idols or something, someone you looked up to, that you feel like that is a really powerful or fearless woman that has impacted your life in some way.
Hmm. You see, this is the thing. I didn't think I had this type of role models, as I say.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, they were actresses normally, maybe because in my real world, they were not real women,
Yeah.
but they were on a TV screen. And for me, were those roles where women were doing things that were out of what they were supposed to do, or saying
Yeah.
things that were not what they're supposed to do, breaking the rules, being, a little bit outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe criticized for that or outcast for that. And I'm from an area in Spain, in the north, in Galicia, where there were lots of witches.
Yeah.
And witches, for me, were those women that they knew more, they have more knowledge, they knew better, but because society wouldn't allow it, if you speak up your mind, if you go against the rules, if you go against the men,
Yeah.
uh, then you were a witch. So I
Yeah.
think that those type of people that would dare to pay the consequences
Mm-hmm.
of speaking your mind and being yourself,
Yeah.
regardless if you end up burn or, you know,
Yeah. Do you
whatever.
have do
Yeah.
you have a name of any of these actresses or anything? Maybe someone that's
I
I or
was
someone else will recognize?
No, but for instance, I was always drawn by Lauren Bacall or people like the
Mm-hmm.
bad girls in the in the gangster movies or something. Every time a woman, in the 50s roles, every time a woman had a role that was not just the girlfriend, which is
Yeah.
not the sweetheart, that she had you know, a main character role. I
Mm-hmm.
will feel drawn by that because that was not the usual thing. Just as a girl in a movie, you have to be pretty,
Yeah.
look good on a dress or whatever. So if you were in a character that you have more protagonism, you were more of a yeah, the heroine
Yeah.
of the story. Yeah, I was drawn to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
or this always about women that were not scared to speak their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because it feels like I was expecting an answer from you. You just gave me the total opposite. Like actresses, I've never thought about it that way, but they're still characters that we can look up to, that we can see. Like even if it's not a real person in real life, it's still, it is still a person as the character, and it's still something to like kind of like not compare yourself to, but to see like, oh, this characteristic is something that I really, really admire and something that I want to implement or start, growing myself, like confidence or something similar
Yeah.
to that. And I think it's so cool actually that you're thinking of it that way. And yeah, definitely relate to,
Sometimes
the movies with the witches and stuff. That's something that I'm also like, it's always because they are, just like they're scaring the men because they know too much, or like they just like know stuff that they don't, or making the men insecure, and then they're witches. And I'm like,
yeah,
interesting.
I find every time a woman is empowers herself, it
Yeah.
takes the risk of somebody trying to put her down as a negative characteristic.
Yeah.
So if you are too ambitious, or you're so selfish, if
Yeah.
if you achieve some sort of power in the company, or you just like
Yeah.
the horrible boss, it's just that kind of thing. I think it's been on purpose
Yeah.
portrayed as that, so to stop you from wanting to reach that level, because it will be some judgment, some negative judgment if you get any sort of power. It will be
Yeah.
some negative consequence out of it. So to
Yeah.
be able to do anything, always took that risk for women. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so true. Okay, one last question. Do you have energy for that?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any advice that you would want to share with the viewers that we have today?
My advice is question your perception of yourself,
Mhm.
because for sure you are braver than you think you are. And you know it when you step a little bit out of the comfort zone and you see that nobody died,
Yeah.
nothing terribly bad happened. And if something bad happened, you probably get a valuable lesson out of it that's going to help you to move forward. So
Yeah.
don't be too scared. You can do it.
You're making me smile. That's such a good one. I think it's exactly like you just put it out there perfectly, and it's so clear. And it is that, like, if you never try, you will never know. But if you try, and even if it messes up, like, you still know then, and you probably learn something from it. So
There
it's,
is
yeah,
no success without failing before.
exactly.
Nobody came up with the cure for something before failing 200 times before. Nobody
Yes,
invented anything good without failing 200 times
yeah,
before. It's not,
for sure.
failure is nothing. Failure is just a part of the process.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I would say there is a reason why you think you are in a certain way, but you're probably wrong. Just
yeah,
doubt your perception, question it, and observe yourself. Dig a little bit deeper. And
yeah,
if you need help, just get a coach, get a therapist, get someone to guide you through. You don't have to do it alone. We're too
yeah,
used to trying to figure it out alone, and it saves you a lot of time when you get help.
yeah,
And as well, you feel the support of someone that has been there, that knows exactly what you're talking about. So
yeah,
it's better than to do it alone. So
yeah.
that's
That is so true. That is so true. Like, we don't have to do everything alone. We can ask for help. And thank you so, so much for your wise words and
been
everything.
a pleasure.
Yeah, I loved having you here today. It was so nice to see your face again and for you to just share all these insights. I feel like I learned a lot today as well. So I love having these podcasts.
Yeah, I love
So
these
nice.
chats. I always,
Yeah.
it just when I hear myself, sometimes I need to remind myself of my own advice because, of course, I know
Definitely.
my own programming, and it's always it never ends. The
Yeah.
fight, the challenges, it never ends.
Yeah.
You always have to keep on pushing through. And it's a
Yeah.
process. So yeah, when I hear, when I hear you and I hear myself, it's like, yeah, it's like I need to remember this.
I know, and that is so true. I feel the same. I do the same. Like, I hear you say something, and then I hear myself answer, and I'm like, I need to listen to myself sometimes too, because it's so easy to say it, and then, like, do I actually listen to myself?
Mm,
And yeah, it's great having these conversations because, like you said, we get reminded, and we share knowledge as well, like things you say that I can really find like helpful in my life. And it's just so nice sharing all of our insights and stuff
yeah,
with each other. Yeah, thank you so, so, so much. I'm
my
really,
pleasure.
really grateful for your time now.
Thank
And
you for having
yeah,
me.
thank you so, so much. Have a really, really nice, what day is it now?
Mm, Thursday. So
Thursday. Okay,
yeah, I was
then it's
thinking,
weekend soon.
yeah.
Have a really, really nice weekend now, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thanks everyone for listening. See you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Bye bye. Okay, let's see if I can stop this recording now. Okay, now.